Okay, now we've seen going down the back what we call back stripes in our school, going straight down the back. We've been working that way. But we need to add a little wrinkle to this. A little difficult to see in the video here, but if you look right in here, you will see a shadow that represents where the spinous processes of the vertebrae are below or deeper than or more forward than the surrounding erector spinae muscles. Well, let's make it simple. We'll call this a valley. And if you look up here where it's bright, it may be a little hard to see on the video, but the spinous processes are protruding farther out than the surrounding. They are higher or further back than the surrounding erector spinae muscles. We're going to call that a mountain. So the mountains are where the spinous processes are above the surrounding muscles. The valleys are where the spinous processes sink between the muscles. And what we're going to add, we're still going to be going down, but as we go down the spine, we're going to pile up on the mountains and we're going to dig out the valleys in our quest to make the spine longer and more balanced and freer. When the spinous processes go deep, the muscles come too close. So we're going to dig out the valleys by moving the muscles away from where the spinous processes stick out above the erector spinae on either side. We are going to pile up on the mountains because the tendency is when the spinous processes stick out, the tissues around them go wide. So now I'm going to do the same thing that I was doing before, but we are going to add in this idea of the mountains and the valleys. Be aware that you read the mountains and the valleys when they're sitting on the bench or standing. You don't read the mountains and the valleys when they're leaning over. You read it beforehand, you remember what you saw, and you work based on what you saw when they were sitting or standing. So now in doing this technique, taking into account the mountains and the valleys, I'm going to do the same, the client's going to do the same thing, taking the chin towards the chest. Let your arms go outside your legs if you would, and begin to roll forward vertebra by vertebra. Now, these are where the mountains were. There are more mountains now. The spinous processes are sticking out, but I believe what I saw when he was standing up, which was mountainous anyway. And as I work down the back, I am working to bring the tissue in. So I'm actually grabbing the erector spinae. We don't use words like grabbing. I'm contacting and getting a hold of the erector spinae, and I'm bringing them in towards the back. And continue down a little bit more, Bill, if you would. So right here is where we got this transition point between the mountains and the valleys. So now this doesn't look so much like a valley anymore because he's bending forward, so the spinous processes are coming back. But I believe what I saw, and I work in terms of what I saw when I was standing up. So now I'm going to work down and out. I'm going to go right in. Of course, I'm not pressing on the spinous processes, but right beside them in the laminar groove, and I'm taking the longissimus and iliocostalis muscles, and I'm moving them laterally away from the spine in these inverted V's. And Bill just keeps, the client just keeps going forward vertebra by vertebra, and you can remind them to stay in contact with their feet. You can remind them to feel that both sits bones are on the bench in the same way. You know what? We didn't talk about it, but way down here at the bottom of his back, he's got another set of mountains. So right down at the bottom of his back, I'm going to bring that tissue in again. So pile up on the mountains, dig out on the valleys is the rule, or a useful rule for working on the superficial back line and the erectors. And just, that's great, just let your shoulders relax now. Good.